Alrighty, y'all. So today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little clutch purse. It actually turned out a lot bigger than I was hoping it would be. I just didn't think about the measurements. I just had the pattern in my head. But it's okay. We got a clutch instead of a little mask bag, which I was originally going to make. So I'm going to give you the full instructions. I'm going to show you how to make it yourself without using any kind of a pattern. You just use the fabric or the fusible interfacing. Also, I'm going to show you the mistakes I made. Some were happy mistakes, some need improvement, but I'm going to go through the whole process with you. So let's get started. Alrighty, y'all, getting started right away on this. We're going to make the pattern. I'm going to use my Pelon fusible interfacing number 808 to make the pattern directly onto that. It's just the easiest way, and to me it makes a neater cut. I'm not going to do measurements and sizing here. I will put that in the description box below if you want to make this exact bag. But this is just a jumping off point for you to kind of figure out how to make the pattern. I actually intended for this bag to be a lot smaller than it came out, but you know, I was kind of crunched for time. Actually, I made one pattern and it wasn't right. It's been a little while since I made this type of pattern. This has probably been done before, this sort of pattern, but I came up with the idea a few years ago. I like it because it's all one piece, and if you want to make a bag, especially like a messenger bag or anything like that, it's definitely going to keep it from the bottom falling out or the seam ripping on the bottom, because there is no seam on the bottom. So you're kind of making a cross shape, but you want to make sure that those little sides there match up in each corner. And I'm doing this on the fold so that when I open it up, it's going to be all one piece and it's going to kind of look like a cross or something like that. You don't want to iron this if you use your fusible interfacing, because if you try to press it, you're going to press it together. So don't do that at this stage at all. So I just want to remind you while you're watching me do this to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit that bell so you get notified when I upload new videos. I try to upload every Tuesday, and I do sewing and crafting tutorials and some cooking occasionally. So there you go. So there is our piece, as it will be once you've got the pattern piece cut out. Now that's the right side of the fabric that I just showed you there. And on the wrong side, I'm going to place that shiny side of that fusible interfacing down so that it's going to stick when I press it. And I like to do it this way. I don't like to cut it out first. I just think it looks so much neater this way. That way you're not trying to cut around those corners and stuff on that interfacing. So I'm going to press it on there until it's good and stuck, and then I'll cut it out, and then you will see me take the lining piece and pin it with right sides facing together or wrong sides. It just depends on, you can do it either way as long as you do it that way. And I'm going to pin it to it and cut it out so that I have a piece for the lining as well. I did not use fusible interfacing on the lining. I felt like this bag was too small and that was just too much, too thick. And especially for beginners, when you're trying to do something like this, that's going to make it a little more difficult to sew, depending on your machine as well. So I'm going to do this, and then I will show you the next step. Alrighty, so there you go. There's our two pieces, the lining and the outside of the bag. And now I'm going to go around each top side and fold over about 1/2 inch and press them down. You want to do that at this stage because I am doing a drop-in lining, and it's just going to be so much easier if you do it before you sew all the sides together. Also, for this project, you're going to need some kind of snap and a swivel hook. And I have links to those products in my description box below if you want to check those out. I love getting my hardware from Country Brook Designs. It's just a really good company, really affordable. And they are on Amazon, so if you have Prime, you get it really fast. You don't have to wait for their shipping. So yeah, check out the links below. Alrighty, so now that I've got all those top sides pressed down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of these sides meet. So we're going to make the corners of the bag. And that's just really simple. That's, you know, you just fold each corner over and sew it down and do it on all 4 corners till you got them done. You can do that on the lining and the outside of the bag, and then you'll be ready to continue on with the next step. Y'all be sure to go to that description box below and check out my social media links as well. I'm trying to get up there on Instagram. It's kind of hard to get all the followers that I want, so I can get that check on Instagram and Facebook, but I sure would appreciate it. I try to post things regular there, and there's a little more happening during the week there on Facebook. You can catch up on some things I've got going on with my other projects, and just follow me and check out my live videos. I just do a live chit chat occasionally, talk to y'all about what's going on here and there, but anyway, yeah, check it out. Alrighty, so here's what it's going to look like once you've got those sides all sewn together. And now we're going to create a little pleat in those sides. I had originally thought about tapering to where it's more narrow at the top, but I decided I didn't want to do it that way because it probably would be a lot messier. So I like this way. I'm just basically creating a dart in the bag, and I'm going to fold that where I can see the middle on that side, and I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to go down 1.5 inches, and I'm going to mark where I'm going to stop sewing 1.5 inches down. Now that depends on the bag you're doing. You don't want to do 1.5 inches if you're doing like a 2-inch tall bag. Obviously you're going to have to work with your sizes here. This was a fun bag for me to play around with. I actually had not tried it before this. Like I said, I did cut out a pattern for the first one and had the interface and everything sewn on, and I realized I had done it completely wrong, but I actually did not scrap those pieces. I'm going to make a fabric bowl out of them since I made the sides way too wide. But anyway, so I'm marking down here, and I want to make sure that I mark where I need to stop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those with my scissors down to my mark, and then when I take it to the machine, I'm going to start at kind of an angle, but I want to keep it. I usually use the side of my presser foot for stuff like this. I use the side as my guide, so I'm kind of using that as a guide, and I'm just going down at an angle, kind of making that half V shape. So you see there I've got the dart sewn on that one, and I'm going to do it in the lining and the outside of the bag. So this is a super fun gift idea with the holidays coming up. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I really love handmade gifts. It just means so much more when somebody takes the time to make you something, and these little bags are so adorable, and they're so versatile. You can make it in any size. You can make, you know, a big honking messenger bag, or a little clutch, or a little mask bag like I made there. So now I've got my swivel hook out, and I'm going to tell you at the very start of this, you see that I had interfacing in this piece, and I actually put that piece aside and made one without interfacing because I realized that interfacing just made it too stiff. So I make this triple the size that I want it. And you just kind of play around with your measurements till you get it to fit. And what I'll do is sew down both sides, make it look nice and pretty and neat. And then I'm going to feed the hook through it, where the D-ring is on the hook, and then I'm going to sew the end of it. But this is not the one that you will see me use when I actually start constructing the bag. So if there's any question about that, it is because that interfacing was just too stiff for this particular bag. But I did save the piece that I made because I might use it for another bag. But there you go. So I'm feeding that hook through. I'm going to fold it over and start in the middle when you do something like this. If you start sewing in the middle and back stitch and then forward stitch, it keeps the thread and everything from getting caught in your machine. So there you go. Now we're going to make the bag flap, and I'm just measuring this here, and I will say this is another boo-boo I made. My measurement came out entirely too big, and I had to put a dart in the flap. I just didn't want to go back and make a new flap because I already put the magnet snaps and everything in it, and you'll see that in a moment. But I'm measuring the flap to just a little under the size of the body of the bag. So like if it's 4 inches tall, maybe do 3.5 inches for the flap, unless you want your flap to go all the way down, and then you can just do it that way. But this is what I'm doing here, and you'll see me do all of my little measuring and stuff, and then I'm gonna put some interfacing on the outside part once again. So some people ask me, AFATESOTWISTED, you have a steam iron, why do you use a spray bottle? Because I want to, that's why. I don't like the steam, I don't like the ickiness of that water getting in there. I had iron like that one time and it molded. The water molded in there, and I thought that was really disgusting, so I don't like to do it that way. I just like to use a water bottle. So on the inside flap part, I'm just taking 2 square pieces of interfacing and so on, pressing them one right on top of the other, and that's just so that I can put that snap closure on there. It's really heavy, and it, you know, it may tear the fabric if you don't use some kind of interfacing. And I'm going to sew down all 3 sides, leaving the one side open so that I can turn it, and so that I can put the snap closure on it. So my sewing machine is a Viking Husqvarna that was gifted to me by a lovely viewer named Margie. She gave it to me back in about 2014 or 15, I think. Love this machine. It's an older machine, and it'll sew just about anything. Just love it. Okay, so I'm turning this flap right side out, and then I'm going to press it, and I actually did a stitch around those 3 sides on the outside before this, but probably I would do it after I got the snap closure in there in this case. It didn't really affect anything, it just, you know, just got on my nerves. So I'm just using these little magnet snaps, which I love. I've had them for years and years, and I'm going to have to get some more soon because I noticed I didn't have very many there. So anyway, I am measuring, and I'm going to use that little, I forgot what you call that, doohickey, that goes on the inside there, and I just used it to mark where I need to cut the little openings to fit the prongs of my snap closure in there. And I'm going to get my handy dandy teeny tiny little hammer out, and I'm gonna smash those in there and smash them to the inside. Don't do the outside. I don't know, for some reason for the longest time I did those outward, and that just doesn't work. So the camera wasn't running for this first part of this one, but you get the idea of what I'm doing here. So same deal, I just lined everything up, and I'm gonna finish that up. Alrighty, so this is the part that really gets on my nerves. We're going to line everything up and start pinning just a little bit. It's really hard to not over pin with this because you want to make sure everything is in place and not shifting about, but it is annoying, especially with a little bag like this, because you'll stick yourself 1,000 times. It's just going to happen. I decided to trim those corners at an angle because they were kind of poking out of the bag. I've never really quite figured out how to prevent that when I do a drop-in lining. So if you got a special technique or something, just let me know. So there's not really any skill to this that I need to slow this down. You're just going to have to line it up. I try to line up seams. Sometimes they don't line up perfect, but you know, don't panic. It happens. This is when I realized that the flap was entirely too big. It was wrapping around the sides of the bag. So I went in and made a dart. Hate it. Wish I hadn't have done it, but I wanted to complete the video. So, you know, if you think that's cute, you can do that step. If just make it about 1 inch bigger than you need it to be. 1 inch wider, but if not, just make sure your measurements are right. In hindsight, I should have made the flap before I constructed the bag because it just made everything hard to complete that way. But yeah, I got it done, and it actually turned out really neat once I had everything sewn. This maybe I'm getting old and I'm getting better at this thing, but didn't have any problems, didn't break any needles. The bag lined up really well, so everything was cut and sewn together well. That's when you know you got it right, when everything comes together as it should, and I was really pleased with that part of it. It looks a little funky in the end here, but I kind of like it. So that is it. If you have any questions, you can go to my Facebook page. We can discuss any issues you have with this bag or any other project I've done. Also, if you're interested in purchasing this particular bag, you can message me also on Facebook, and I will sell it to you for a decent price so I can buy some more supplies to make some more stuff and make some more videos. So that is it. Hope y'all enjoyed this little tutorial. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.